Joy Lab.
Hi, I'm Tonya. Today in this video we are going to be making a tomato sauce recipe from the excellent cookbook, the Tonya Cookbook. This tomato sauce recipe is your standard tomato sauce recipe. It has vegetables and tomatoes that you just simmer for a long time so that the flavors condense and richen and just smell so aromatic and wonderful. I have done another marinara sauce recipe video, and you can see this here. The reason that I'm doing this marinara tomato sauce recipe is twofold. First of all, it has tons of veggies in it. It has a whole bunch of carrots and a whole bunch of celeries, more than any other tomato sauce recipe that I've ever seen. And I have a picky eater in my house who maybe she'll eat raw carrots occasionally, but if I can get them in this tomato sauce recipe, she loves spaghetti. She loves lasagna, and I can use this tomato sauce recipe and sneak in some vegetables. You see, I am a freezer meal home cook. I look for recipes that I can modify for our own family, tweak them so that everyone in our family will enjoy them, and then make extra, put them in the freezer for any time in the future. Right now in my freezer, I have tubs of marinara sauce from my other recipe that I did in my freezer meal videos. This is a new one. I told you there were two reasons that I'm doing this recipe from the Tonya Cookbook, and I'll tell you the second reason later while the vegetables are simmering. Let's get started. Stanley Tucci is an actor who is also a big fan of cooking, Italian style cooking, and he's written several cookbooks with assistance from his family actually, and from other professional cooks. This recipe was originally named Maria Rosa's Sauce. I don't know Maria Rosa, so I changed the title to Veggie Full Tomato Sauce. Sorry, Mr. Tucci. But it's still your recipe, and I have a link to the cookbook in the description below. You should go pick it up. It really has a lot of good recipes. What the plan is, we're going to melt some butter with olive oil in a big old pot, and then chop up our carrots and our celery and our onion, saute those down so they get a little bit soft. Then we'll add the garlic, some Italian flat-leaved parsley, our tomatoes, salt and pepper, and then just let it simmer for 45 minutes on the stove. Now, if you're going to all the trouble to make homemade tomato sauce, you might as well double the batch, triple the batch, quadruple the batch, and then freeze what you don't need right away, so you always have some wonderful homemade tomato sauce in your freezer ready to pull out. I'm going to double the recipe today, and let me show you how. Into my biggest pot, since I'm doubling the recipe, I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of butter, since I'm doubling the recipe, I'm putting 4 tablespoons of butter. Get in there. Come on. Don't get away. I need you. Oh, good grief. There. A 1/4 cup of olive oil. Doubled makes a 1/2 cup. I'm going to get this heated on the stove and then come back and chop up all our vegetables. This recipe for Maria Rosa's sauce in the Tonya Cookbook calls for a lot of vegetables. 1 cup of diced onions, 1 cup of diced carrots, a half cup of diced celery. We're doubling the recipe. 2 cups of onions, 2 cups of carrots, 1 cup of celery, and that's a lot of slicing and dicing. When you do freezer meals, you want to shortcut your work. You want to make it so it's not just forever, and you're crying and you're dicing the onions. Oh. I have this tool that I love. It's called a handy chopper. It has 3 blades that are very sharp and that spin when you pump. And that spinning motion dices up all of your vegetables. Since I need so many and I want to just get it done quickly, get these sauteed, I'm going to use my handy chopper. This is from Pampered Chef. If you have a friend who sells Pampered Chef, go to them and say, Tonya says I need this handy chopper. Let me show you how fabulous it is. One big piece left. A little bit more. Are you impressed? You should be, because look, I just diced 1/4 of an onion in very little time and effort. Very little time and effort. If you don't have a friend who sells Pampered Chef, I have a link in the description below for a different kind of handy chopper. Not quite the same, but it still gets the job done. And what's even better is the handy chopper chops things up very fine so that your picky eater will get the flavor and the nutrients from these vegetables, but won't see them, won't notice them. I'm going to be busy chopping up my vegetables, and I'll see you soon. There's something about celery when it's diced up and how good it smells. It has like barely any taste, but celery really smells good. We have our 1/2 cup doubled to 1 cup of celery, 1 cup doubled, 2 cups of onion, and 2 cups of carrots. Isn't that pretty? It's like a rainbow of colors in our tomato sauce. We've got the oil and butter already. Wow. And I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Now you could get 2 cloves of garlic and peel them and chop them and put them in yourself. But I find this so much easier, and I think that you're probably on my side, because if you're doing freezer meals, you have to take shortcuts that really don't make much difference, like using the handy chopper. You can use a knife, but it would take a lot longer. You could slice up and mince your garlic yourself, but why? Look at how easy that is. We're doubling the recipe. 2 cloves. 2 become 2 plus 2 is 4. Oh, I should tell you, the carrots are too hard for the handy chopper. You do need to use your knife for the carrots, or maybe if you have a carrot grating machine, you could do that. I am going to put this on the stovetop, medium heat, for about 10 minutes while the vegetables cook down. While the vegetables are on the stovetop cooking down and softening and releasing all their wonderful flavor, I want to tell you the second reason why I'm doing this recipe from the Tucci Cookbook. I am a member of a Cookbook Book Club, and once a month our leader chooses a book and we all make recipes from that book and then have a huge potluck. It is so much fun, and if you have somebody in your life that likes to cook also, I would recommend getting together and doing something like what we're doing, a cookbook potluck, Cookbook Book Club. Back when I was slicing and dicing, I told you about how wonderful this diced celery smelled. That celery smelled so good. Guess what smells good now? The onions. Yes, there's something about sauteed onions that is so welcoming and inviting and makes you anticipate a delicious meal. Now comes the simmer for a long time part. At the Cookbook Book Club, we talk about the recipes before we eat the recipes. We talk about what went well, what ingredients were hard to find. And with this particular recipe, they called for a can of 35 ounces whole plum tomatoes. Well, I don't know what part of the country they were making their recipes, but in my part of the country, you can't get 35-ounce cans of tomatoes. The biggest is 28 ounces. That was part of what was a concern about this recipe. You want to make it easy for the home cook. Fortunately, we are doubling the recipe. So 28 plus 28 plus 14. It works to double the 35-ounce can requirement. Whole tomatoes, I got 1 can of whole tomatoes in their juice, and the rest are these San Marzano style. And Stanley Tucci in the Tucci cookbook talks about really liking this style of tomatoes. I don't remember why. You can get the cookbook and find out for yourself. These are not whole tomatoes, they're tomato strips. Oh, that one was a whole tomato. Did I get 2 different things? Whole peeled tomatoes and tomato strips. Wow, look at that. The packaging is identical. Can you see? The packaging is identical. It's the small print that shows the difference. This one says whole tomatoes and this one says tomato strips. Here's a whole tomato. And is that a whole tomato? Where's a tomato strip? And here's a tomato strip. 2 different things. Packaging should be much more clear. Anyway, it doesn't matter because the recipe says to mush these with your hand. Oh gosh. Or with the back of the spoon. And I think I'll do that instead. Well, that's kind of fun. Ooh, down here is better than up in front for it to squirt everywhere. Oh, that works really well. Squishing up the whole tomatoes, so they're becoming tomato strips and parts of strips. So it's okay for this recipe. I just wish the labeling was better. Now I'm adding 2 tablespoons of minced Italian flat leaf parsley, doubled, so 4 tablespoons. And I'll do some salt and pepper when my hands aren't slimy. Right now, this needs to just simmer on the stove for about an hour, and I will see you then. My kitchen smells simply wonderful. This sauce has been simmering for an hour, and you can see how much it's reduced, and that is good for thickening. It's much thicker now. Thickening and bringing out the sweetness of the tomatoes. Now, it's still too chunky. Maybe your family would love to have some nice chunky tomato sauce like this. Not my family. We have a picky eater, so I have the picky eater's best friend, an immersion blender. Look at this, and it's even pink. It has 2 blades on the bottom, and you just can blend this together. It's okay that it's hot, and it's okay that it's in the pot right now, which makes it very easy to use this immersion blender. Quick and fun. And the best part is, this goes in the dishwasher. Easy cleanup. We make a lot, and we don't need to use it right now. We need to set some aside to freeze for later. And I like these containers by Ziploc. There's a link in the description below. This one is 3 cups, probably 4, but we're only going to move up to the 3-cup line. And this size is 2 cups, but we can't fill things that go in the freezer all the way to the top, because when things freeze, they expand and you'll break the container. So even though it's super hot right now, super hot, I can dish up the tomato sauce, but I will have to let it cool. Ooh, baby, it's hot to the touch. I have to let it cool before I freeze, because otherwise everything around this boiling hot sauce in your freezer would start to thaw, and that's not good. Ooh, baby, this is hot. Yikes. I won't even put the lids on until the sauce is cool. With freezer meals, you can choose your size. Do you want to freeze a smaller serving or a larger serving? Sometimes it's nice to have both on hand in case you're having a big party. These are my favorite labels for the freezer because they dissolve in water, which means that when I'm done using these containers and I want to reuse them, I can just stick them in the dishwasher and the labels will come off without any residue staying behind. Looks like I have 4. And this I am calling Veggie Full Tomato Sauce. I'm not calling it Maria Rosa's because I don't know who that is. Stanley Tucci in the Tucci Cookbook knows who that is, but for me, I'm calling it Veggie Full because that's what it is. If you want to pick up the Stanley Tucci Cookbook, the Tucci Cookbook, it's in the link in the description below. I also have a lot of other resources to help you on your freezer meal journey. You want less stress and less mess at dinner time, and you can have that by working freezer meals into your life. It's super hot. Good texture, good consistency, wonderful flavor. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment on my video. It helps YouTube know to put my video in front of other people who want to make their lives so much easier with freezer meals. I'm Tonya. Thanks for watching.
Joy Lab. Learning done right.
Learn more with Joy Lab. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Visit us at www.joylab.biz. Thank you.